Hello, and welcome to another segment of Hazelcrest What's Next. I am your host, Laverne Murphy, and on today's show, we have Ms. Tonisha Sabamowo here to talk about the partnership that we have with South Suburban Housing Center. She's the Director of Home Ownership, and she will be sharing information about the Down Payment Assistance Program. So we're here to talk about what's the latest happenings in Hazelcrest. So please stay tuned. Hello and welcome to What's Next. Today on the show, I do have information on how Hazelcrest has partnered with South Suburban Housing Center to talk about the new Home Down Payment Assistance Program. So on today's show, I do have Ms. Tonisha Sabamowo here to talk about the program. And so she is the Director of Home Ownership here to share more information. So Ms. Tonisha Sabamowo, thank you so much for coming on What's Next.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And so tell me a little bit about South Suburban Housing Center and how you will administer and help Hazelcrest administer the Down Payment Assistance Program.
Sure. So we are a fair housing and HUD approved agency located in the Homewood area. We started in 1975 through a League of Women Voters who wanted to start monitoring discriminatory real estate practices in the South Suburban land. From that, then we became a regional fair housing agency and now housing counseling agency as well. So we are a HUD approved housing counseling agency. Okay. And under my role as a Director of Home Ownership, I administer down payment assistance programs and I manage a team of HUD certified counselors and a program manager with all things housing counseling.
Okay, great. And with this grant program, it was funded by federal grant funding for the Village of Hazelcrest through ARPA funds. And so this is how we're able to partner with South Suburban Housing Center. So walk viewers through what does it look like if I'm wanting to buy a home here in Hazelcrest? What does that program look like?
So they would have to contact our agency to find out more details about the program. They must also attend one of our home buyer education courses, which kind of gives them an idea of the process from beginning to end for a home purchase. They have to also do what's called a one-on-one pre-purchase counseling, where we sit down with the individual and talk about their specific situation, where they are in the home buying process, if they're even started the home buying process, what does their debt looks like, have they been saving, do they have funds set aside for down payment and closing costs. We give them an action plan to kind of just get them to that ultimate goal of purchasing.
Okay, great. And let's just say they have fulfilled that role. Talk about like what are the steps, the eligibility for how much or the amount that individuals can get in the grant down payment assistance.
So individuals can get up to $10,000 and that's based on household income. There's three buckets. There's 60% what's called average median income through the HUD income limits. If it's 60% or below, they can get access to $10,000. If they fall between 60 and 80%, then they will get access to $7,500. And anyone from 80 to 120 would have access to $5,000. And so what happens is we ask to look at all sources of income within the household. If there's an 18-year-old that is working, we want to know what that income is, because that is how we determine which bucket you fall in.
Mm-hmm. And that's good information to know, is every income stream that's being generated from that household. So that's great information to know. So one of the things that I liked is that you talk about one-on-one sitting down with them and actually making sure that they understand some of the roles of home ownership. So it's just not about getting the funding, but also how do you ensure that individuals understand credit, owning a home. Talk a little bit about some of those programs.
So we really kind of get to the nuts and bolts of everything. And sometimes people might feel like we're getting in too much of their business, but we want them to make the best informed decision. We also try to tell them we're not here to necessarily hold your hand, but to guide you to make the best decision for you. And even past that, because we don't want you to just get in the home. We want you to be a successful home owner, not just a successful home buyer. So that means we may even have a conversation with you after you've bought the home through any of our post-purchase workshops, any of our post-purchase counseling, just to kind of see how you're maintaining. Is life happening? What are you going to do when life happens? So we talk about all of that. We talk about the pros and cons of home ownership. We talk about if a situation happens, how do you handle that? You should have at least 6 months of emergency savings to be prepared for those types of things. And we're seeing that unfortunately there are individuals who may not have had that type of counseling initially when they first bought their home, and now they're contacting us because we also work with individuals that are trying to eliminate the possibility of foreclosure. So we do foreclosure prevention counseling.
Oh, great.
So when we talk to them, we talk about that too as a potential home buyer. And then through our home buyer education course, we talk about all of that. Managing debt, are you ready? Those types of things.
Which I think is critical, is a critical piece, because a lot of times we get excited in the moment of, oh, here we have this new shiny, bright home that we can own. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we're thoroughly thinking things through for sustainability, right?
That is very true.
And so what about, are there any criterias with the down payment assistance? Like, do you have to stay in a home for a certain period of time, or how does that work?
So obviously you have to purchase in Hazelcrest. It is Hazelcrest only.
Absolutely.
You have to work with our participating lenders. Those are individuals or institutions such as BMO, Wintrust, Associated Bank, Old National. We have another few partners that is on our website. They have to just kind of make sure that they understand that they provide all of the necessary documentation that we request. You do have to remain in the property for 5 years as your primary residence. If not, then you are responsible. Well, what we do is we have you sign what's called a recapture agreement. With that recapture agreement, if you want to move or want to sell the property prior to the 5-year time, you are responsible for that entire grant amount being repaid. Now, there are situations where if you are trying to refinance, we can consider talks about subordination for that reason. But there is a 5-year recapture agreement.
Okay, that's good. And that creates sustainability with homeowners and kind of veer away from investors, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's not designed for investors.
Absolutely.
It's actually designed for home ownership to build home wealth.
That
right?
is correct. So you can't rent the property out either.
And it's not just for first-time home buyers, but it's actually for existing or someone who's looking to purchase.
It can be for a repeat buyer, but you cannot own another property at the time of closing. So if you're looking to do that, you'd have to sell your previous property in order to purchase the next property in Hazelcrest. Without that being an issue. Because some down payment programs will not allow for that. You cannot own in the last 3 years. But for us, as long as you don't have that property at the time of closing, then it's okay.
Okay, great. And so how far along does an individual have to be when they are wanting to take advantage of this particular grant, right? How far in the stage or how early in the stage? Where is that sweet spot when they come to you for the down payment program?
So for us, if they're starting to think about purchasing in Hazelcrest, they can reach out. We work with individuals no matter where they are for our overall program. For the purposes of the DPA program, in order to actually put in an application, a down payment application, not necessarily our housing counseling application, but a down payment application, you have to have an executed contract. That way we can review you to reserve the funds for you. Because it's a first come, first served basis.
That's right. And when the money's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
So, we don't have a bottomless pit when it comes to the actual program. And so it just kicked off. So we are extremely excited about the program. So does it matter? I know you talked about your lending partners that you work with. And so is that one that's mandatory? Two, is it FHA conventional? How does that financing work?
You do have to work with a participating lender. That is mandated. As far as financing, it has to be conventional financing only. We're not able to do our down payment grants with any other types for government funding. And so like FHA, VA, USDA, we're not available for those types of funding. So if you are working with a lender and they're able to give you one of their portfolio loans, that might be a community lending product. If they're able to work with you with a Fannie or Freddie Mae, home ready, home possible conventional financing.
Okay, great. Well, that is so good to know. So is there any additional information that, we could share with our viewers that we may not have covered about the particular program? But we love it. To recap it, you can go from 7,500 to 10,000.
Which we didn't cover. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yes.
So thank you, Laverne, for bringing that back too. So in the buckets I mentioned, if it's 60% or below, I did mention that. Yes. It is the 10 and then the 75 and the 5. I just, really am excited about this program. We've been around here in our agency for a while trying to promote home ownership, and this gives us the opportunity to bring back the stability to the village of Hazel Crest. So I think it's key for us to use these dollars to put back into the community so that we can bring community feeling back. As far as additional things that we may not have covered,
what's the phone number?
You can call, I was just getting ready to say, you can call us at any time for questions. We are at 708-957-4674. You can either put in 103 for my extension, or you can just ask questions that the person at our housing counseling specialist can answer. The individual, when they do their one-on-one, they will be working with a HUD certified counselor, and she's very good at guiding individuals to that step. In our agency, we've also done our own work. So we've been clients as well. We've had to go through counseling. We've all purchased property. So we're just excited about how the program works.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm telling you, the counseling, hands down, is an added benefit, right? Even if you're a repeat buyer, because sometimes, refreshers are good, right? Because there may be something where you just aren't thinking about certain things, especially when it comes to just all the billing that comes with home ownership, especially if you're transferring from rental. So thank you for you guys being, giving thorough, more than enough information for home ownership and to make it possible for everyone.
Thank you. Can I say one thing?
Yes,
sure.
Absolutely.
One thing I do want to point out is that when we're doing our counseling, although a lending partner may approve you based on your gross income, we really want to talk about where you are with your net income, because that's really going to be able to help you sustain from an affordability perspective. Because you have other bills that they don't take into consideration that may not show up on your credit report. So it's key that you understand, not just from a perspective of what a lender will pre-approve you for, you want to really understand what you truly can afford. Great advice. And thank you so much, Tanisha, for coming on and sharing this great partnership with Hazel Crest and South Suburban Housing Center. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Great. And thank you to our viewers. And you can find more information, not just from the number that Tanisha has provided, but also on our social media, which is our website, on our Facebook. We have this information for you, flyers in our lobby. So we want everyone to take advantage of it, spread the word, where we build home wealth here in Hazel Crest. So thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, be safe.